In this video, we are exploring a few instances where cops unknowingly arrested individuals who later turned out to be undercover FBI agents. Let's uncover the stories.
Let me see your hands. I need to see some ID. Get on the ground!
I'm a federal agent.
Get on the ground!
I'm a federal agent.
Starting with a real example of cops finding excuses for themselves even after being bullies. And get this, they're not even sparing federal agents. So, this cop is yelling at a guy, demanding to see his hands. The guy follows the order and calmly mentions he's a federal agent. But guess what? The cop takes things up a notch, gets intense, and starts barking orders for the man to hit the ground. Meanwhile, the cop's got his gun out and aimed at the guy the whole time. The guy's just trying to show his ID, but nope. The cop's not having it. All he wants is the guy flat on the ground. When backup arrives, the guy's left with no choice but to hit the deck.
Let me see your hands. I need to see some ID. Get on the ground!
I'm a federal agent.
Get on the ground!
I'm a federal agent.
Face down!
You guys gotta make it mistake.
You are the one making the mistake! Settle it. Face down! Now!
So the police arrested the guy. He tries to tell them to chill and give him space due to a medical issue, but they brush him off, telling him to shuffle into the car. When he hesitates, they play around a bit before shoving him forcefully into the vehicle.
Down and breathe.
Let me breathe. I have a medical condition.
We're gonna get air to you. Get your legs in. Get your legs in. We're closing this door.
Sir,
Get your legs in.
I need air. Sir, please, call an ambulance. I'm asking for an
You
ambulance.
got a medic coming. Get in the car.
Sir, I don't need the medic. The taser didn't bother
You
me.
just said call an ambulance if you don't need a
Yeah, now you don't want one. Get in the
All the way
car.
in the car. Get all
Sir,
the way
I
in.
can't breathe. Wait, sir.
This could easily be considered among the most remarkable encounters with law enforcement we've witnessed in quite a while. A citizen from South Sudan was peacefully seated, preoccupied with his own affairs, when police officers approached him and initiated a series of inquiries.
For what? You think? That's an illusion. You think?
The man alleges racial profiling by the police. Amid escalating disagreements, they restrain him in handcuffs. The tension peaks as he repeatedly urges them to verify his ID.
Matter of fact, look at my ID.
Eventually, they do.
Hey, watch how funny this is. Go ahead,
Watch
look at
this.
it. No, don't hate me. Look at it. Oh,
You
what does
guys
that
got
say?
it fucked up.
What does that say? Oh.
The man is an FBI agent. The astonishment on their faces is palpable. A classic case of underestimation. Seeking a supervisor, he ensures they provide their identification cards. Interestingly, the police are now notably silent. Their attention shifted to the supervisor, who appears visibly uneasy.
Your card is yours. Yep, you can have my card. And I'm gonna file a report on you, and you. Because you guys are all stupid.
There's a shared awareness that the aftermath of this incident could jeopardize their employment status. In the following video, things kick off with the arrest of a guy who gets cuffed by the cops. One of the officers starts questioning him about his credentials, and when the guy mentions that the FBI issued those to him during his time working with them, the cop takes a turn and begins reciting the man's rights.
So the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used in the court of law. Yeah. If the right to talk to an attorney have been present with you prior to any questioning, if you wish one. Sure. If you cannot afford one will be provided to you by the court.
Then he explains that the arrest was because of those flashing red and blue lights.
So the reason that you're in cuffs, okay, is per NRS. Unless you're a sworn officer. I know in Nevada everybody's Yeah, you're not allowed to have red and blues. Sure.
He circles back to the guy's credentials and is caught off guard by the fact that he used to work for the FBI. And guess what? The guy spills the beans that he had deals with not just the FBI, but also the Department of Justice. And then he told the details of his current gig.
You work for the FBI at one point?
I've contracted with the Department of Justice and the FBI. Contractor for Southwest Gas.
For Southwest? So that's like
That's
your...
here, yeah.
That's your primary job?
Yeah, it's my part-time job, and I have my own cybersecurity company.
Unfortunately, the video abruptly cut out, leaving us hanging without a glimpse of what happened next. However, it's pretty clear that the cops were starting to realize they might have barked up the wrong tree. In this scene, observe a police officer conversing with an individual who claims to be an FBI agent. Despite the man presenting his credentials, the officer remains skeptical. This leads the officer to contact the station, requesting a check on the vehicle plates.
Advanced wiring company.
Do you work for a wiring company?
Further.
It's a covert video, sir.
Okay.
In this situation, we discover that the man initiated contact with this specific officer for the investigation. leaving the officer intrigued about how the man obtained his phone number.
One who called me here, sir. How did you get my phone number? I ain't saying he can't tell me how he got my information.
The officer informs the individual that he is detained, yet refrains from handcuffing him immediately. The rationale behind the detention is the individual's lack of cooperation. When the individual offers to provide his registration, the officer declines, stating that he is awaiting his supervisor.
Would you like to see the registration, sir?
I don't really want anything from you at this point. My supervisor's on the way.
Excellent.
The officer communicates further over the radio, revealing the individual's identity as Special Agent Hatton from Jacksonville. The officers note that the man attempts communication on his radio, yielding no response initially. The officer changes his mind as he claims to finally hear a response, although its confirmation remains mysterious. Eventually, the officers restrain him with handcuffs and place him inside the police vehicle. Following a period spent in the car, the man unexpectedly requests an ambulance.
On 911, call. I need a medical attention right now. Unlock me.
Started complaining of shortness of breath, vision loss.
When the ambulance finally arrives, the cop explains the whole situation and says the man complains about shortness of breath and vision loss. As paramedics assist the man into their vehicle, the officer justifies that although the individual's legitimacy was eventually established, his behavior had raised suspicions, leading to the initial detention.
Stop pulling the handcuffs from my wrist.
Hold it real quick so I can unlock the car.
Like I'm running somewhere.
It's not just civilians getting choked by cops, believe it or not. They're even doing it on their own. This video's the real deal to show you. So these cops nab this guy, but it's like a wrestling match to get him into their car.
Look at me. You want to play games? You play with the wrong mother.
What you gotta do, man? You gonna mace me, mace me.
Look at me, mother. You want to play games? You ever get disrespectful with my officer?
And even when they finally cram him in, they still have issues with his behavior.
Do what you gotta do.
Things got seriously wild when a police sergeant lost his cool. He went on to threaten a guy, but what came next was a real shocker.
Don't ever touch me again.
Sir. Just let it be.
We clear?
Yes, sir.
This sergeant turned around and put his hands around a female officer's neck.
Just let it be.
Why? Because he had a beef with her touching him. The other cops around were left dumbfounded, just watching it go down. Later, this 47-year-old sergeant named Christopher Pulleys got hit with 4 charges for his bad behavior, including battery and assault on a fellow law enforcement officer. If he's found guilty, he might be looking at a 5-year prison stint, as per what the state attorney's saying. Concluding this video, I want to bring your attention to our earlier release. Time's idiot cops get instant karma. If you haven't caught it yet, you can find it above. Your insights are important, and for more content centered around law enforcement incidents, consider subscribing. Thank you for being with us.